Welcome back. So it's just good to be done seeing these trailers. Yeah, I'll be honest. Like with In the Heights, the Black Widow trailer, the excessive amount of Black Widow trailers was starting to just pile up. I'm like, can we just get to the? I'm looking forward to the film, absolutely. But that was a weird spell. I was just, yeah, I'm looking forward to the film. I'm looking forward to the film, obviously, but like, can we just get it done with? But obviously, now I came back from Black Widow. And what did I think about Black Widow? Well, my short answer is I like the film. It's a good film. It's a good Marvel film. Is it among the better ones? No. We have now 23 films. This is probably in the lower half, and I stand by there are no bad MCU films. There are lesser ones. This is probably in the upper half of the lower half. That I think is the best way to put it. Like, this is well above something like an Iron Man 2, a Thor. Honestly, definitely better than Captain Marvel. Because looking back, like, Captain Marvel is okay, but it's not that great. It's better than Captain Marvel. So yeah, it's definitely better than a giant chunk of them, or a solid chunk of them. But it's good. I think so. I mean, it's what do we know about the film? I guess is the best way to put it. Going in. It takes place between Civil War and Infinity War, where Natasha's on the run, and there is the resurgence of the Red Room, the Black Widow program, and this chemical that is very important gets brought up, and she has to reenlist her sister, reenlist her fake family, her mother, Rachel Weisz, David Harbour, Red Guardian. And along the way, they're pursued by, the Red Room itself. Sam Winstone is basically kind of the bad guy. Basically, he's the bad guy. Taskmaster is involved. So, yeah, this sets itself up like a really cool kind of espionage thing, because that's what Black Widow is. She's a spy. The problem here, honestly, the problem with the movie, among a few other things that I have, and I think it's the biggest one, is that for a film that's trying to kind of be a Jason Bourne, and I think that's what it's trying to go. It's trying to go for kind of a superhero version of Jason Bourne, albeit with a female character, which is fine. A female Jason Bourne is totally workable. It's really not that good of a spy film. It's frankly even just an okay superhero film. The action's fine. The action's good. Good choreography on like the fight sequences. Some of the stunt work's good. There's a decent. You see it in the trailer, so no spoiler on that. I'm not gonna spoil anything that I think would be ruining the movie. The free fall fight, the little it lasts, is I think actually pretty cool. So I mean, the action's fine. And there's definitely a little bit of intrigue, but it's more to do with the family. The strongest points of this film are the family dynamics. Florence Pugh, David Harbour. David Harbour's awesome in this movie. Red Guardian is really good. There's this running joke that he kind of has that never really kind of comes to a fruition. I'll say that. About him fighting Captain America. And people calling kind of like, wait, Captain America was frozen. Are you lying? It's like he's like kind of says like, does he ever talk about me, Captain America? He's my contemporary. And Rachel Weisz is pretty good. Rachel Weisz it takes a while to show up, even longer than David Harbour does. But when she shows up, she's good. She's a great scene with Scarlet Johansson, combining Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson together. No, but she has a really good scene with her talking about how she was able to, get out. I'll say this though too. There's this one earns the PG-13, and not because of anything truly graphic, but in terms of the context of what we're saying. There's a scene involving a pig that even people in the audience are like, stop it, stop it, stop it. There's a scene talking about what they, in terms, because we hear in Age of Ultron that Natasha's sterile. She can't have kids. We get actually a bit more detail of what that actually entailed, like how they did it, like what they actually did. So yeah, and it's now it's honestly it's dark what they're saying, but it is played a bit for laughs. So it's a weird mix. The humor mostly works in the film, especially when it comes to David Harbour. Florence Pugh's great in this film. She's got a couple really good dramatic moments. And Scarlett Johansson nails, like, she nailed this role God knows how many times. And she's perfectly, she's doing her thing in this role again. Like, she's doing great. We see a bit more of her vulnerability in this movie, definitely. And I'll say this, obviously we know she's alive by the end of the film because of where it takes place. And obviously in the modern time, she's not alive. Is this a good send-off to the Black Widow character, assuming that they don't use her again, or assuming that Scarlett Johansson doesn't come back to play her again? And B, does it leave room open for her to come back if they figure out a way to do that? We know Kang is coming, time shenanigans, who knows? I'll say, and multiverses come with Doctor Strange. I'll say this, yeah, I think it's a good send-off. Especially with the post-credit scene, I think it's a good send-off. But B, if they want, there's nothing that really indicates they're planning to bring her back. But if they wanted to, they certainly could. It's not out of the realm of doability. So I mean, that's really all I can say without spoiling too much. I'll say this: I actually really liked the beginning, because the beginning is kind of a cold open. To some degree, and it's got a very much American, because the opening is a flashback to, and basically it's like the American. If you've ever seen the Americans TV show, where some of these Soviets pretending to be Americans, that's kind of how the movie starts a little bit. Not even a little bit. That's exactly how the movie starts. And I was actually really kind of like invested in this kind of dynamic they were having there, definitely, and. Even whether it was real or not, and that's, the question that was being, raised later in the movie. So, yeah, I really did dig on that quite a bit. And the family dynamic stuff, like I said earlier, is definitely the strongest part. That was the stuff, the dinner table scene. The dinner table scene that you see in the trailer. It's like, Natasha, don't slouch. Up. Like, that's actually a really good stuff. Like, that scene is really good. It's a really good scene. And like everything going in that entire area everything going on in that entire area is really well handled. But like I said, though, it has its problems. Like, I think it's trying too hard to be kind of Jason Bourne in a superhero film, and I don't think that works really that well. The action sequences are good when you can see it. There is a bit of shaky cam going on to some degree. But where this film really ultimately suffers is the villains. So I'm going to say Taskmaster, because Taskmaster is actually the one I have the bigger complaints about. But Ray Winstone is playing like this Russian general who's basically at the head of the Black Widow program. And without really going into any details, it's a great actor, but this character is just so know-nothing. He's not interesting. He's not even that intimidating. He's just an asshole. And like, his plan is so stupid. And when he talks about something, he says something, and both me and my girlfriend are kind of like, wait, what? And there was like a group of 4 individuals behind us, like these college dudes and the girl they were with, and they were kind of talking a bit throughout the movie. And then they weren't like talking, like having an actual conversation, truly. Like, hey, what are you going to do later tomorrow, or all that? No, they weren't like talking that, but they were having like coherent, like consistent conversation while whispering, and they were like nearly directly behind us. They weren't like straight behind us, but they were like a couple seats over in the next row. And my girlfriend actually like had to shush them, and then the girl shushed them too. And it's like, yeah, but at one point, the guy reveals his plot, or his plan, and we even heard the guys go, wait, what? And my girlfriend and I couldn't even kind of, like, deny, like, yeah, wait, what? Your plan is really dumb. Like, it's really stupid. The only thing I can say for Ray Winstone is there's a scene involving him and Scarlet Witch, and I'll actually say, the way he handles himself in the scene, in that, I keep saying Scarlet Witch, Scarlett Johansson, with Black Widow, and the way the scene plays out, I actually like it to some degree, because it's the one time the character actually has, like, a little bit of, like, not charm, but like confidence and bravado to him. All I can say is it involves her trying to kill him. And I'll say that like I liked that scene with him. Other than that, though, it wasn't really one of those things that I'm like, the rest of the character just didn't work. And when he goes out, like when he's gone, like he doesn't survive the film. There's your little spoiler. I mean, did we really expect him to? Sadly, no. But it's just a know nothing death. So I'm like, Ray Winstone, a great actor. I love Ray Winstone, but just wasted. Kind of like Taskmaster. So the thing is, my girlfriend had a theory when she heard something in the film about Taskmaster, and it's about the identity of Taskmaster. And she got it right. I'm like, huh. Okay, that's the thing. And I'm not going to reveal that because that is a spoiler. That's a legit spoiler. But like, okay, I'm like, whatever. But more to the point, like even before, and I'm like, okay, Taskmaster, okay. If we're like the design they made for the MCU, it's got a good design. And like the fight sequences with Taskmaster, particularly like the first one he has with Natasha, is a really good fight sequence. But the problem is, this really is just a nothing character. Like as much as Ray Winstone's character, Dreykov, I think his character's name is, as much as he's kind of a nothing character, Taskmaster is wasted. And this is like the one little bit I'll give you. Taskmaster doesn't say a damn word in this movie till near the end, and it's only after we get the reveal of the identity of Taskmaster with their helmet off. And why is that supposed to make it? It's like they're trying to do Winter Soldier again, but the Winter Soldier, even without talking, clearly had personality and intimidation to him and all that, and actually had cool design and all that, but had character backstory, particularly when we saw Bucky, and we know Winter Soldier actually can talk, despite the fact he didn't do it very often. But with Taskmaster, just a silent kind of Terminator-esque figure that's hunting the group down. And again, when we get the backstory of that, it's like, okay, that's not really that interesting if I'm going to be honest, because my girlfriend called it, and I mean, it's like this. I'm okay with adapting anything from the comics and changing it up. Like I have a theory about who ultimately the bad guy in Loki is, and I have a theory they might be combining a few things together with that. Like my ultimate theory is it's Kang, but I think there's a secondary part to that. But at the same time, you need to keep the things that make that character the character. Taskmaster obviously is a mutant in the comics. In this, it's more, I believe, technology and like brain implants. Is a mutant in the comics who has can just copy anything he sees. But he also has he has kind of like a quirky, sass talking personality. He can talk smack, he can intimidate, he can do all that. You can actually have a conversation with this character because he's a bounty mercenary for hire. Here, they just made the character a silent, like, robot, basically. Hell, there sounds like, is this a robot? I'm like, no, I think it's a person. And that's just not a fun character. It's not. It's really just a waste of a cool character. I mean, overall, I did like the film. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I saw it. I'll admit, I'm probably not going to see it again. It's kind of like, I think, the Captain Marvel thing. I'm like, I liked it fine. I like this better than I liked Captain Marvel. But I ultimately I saw it, and I'm good. Like, I would probably go see, like, from the way at least it looks, I'd probably be more down to see Shang-Chi again, like a second time, than this. And that's just for me getting what I got from the trailers. So we'll see what happens. But ultimately, I do still recommend the film. It is still Marvel, MCU. MCU, at minimum, does decent films. They don't really do, in my opinion, bad films. But that is just my opinion. If you don't like the MCU, that is entirely your opinion. So ultimately, think words here. Ultimately, I do recommend Black Widow. I do think it's worth the watch. What do I think it's going to do this weekend? Honestly, I think there's a good chance it might do 100 million this weekend. I think there's enough interest. I think a lot of people want to get back to the theater. I think that I have a theory. I brought it up in the last box office video. We'll see if my theory is right. But I have a theory that the pandemic actually did help the Marvel MCU. Because after Endgame, and then Spider-Man Far From Home came out. But after Endgame, there was a big burnout for a while. I could feel it from the fan base. I wasn't. I'm always down for more comic book stuff, but I think there was a burnout. People were a little burnt out. People were like, okay, that's enough for now. But, 2 years, when we were only supposed to be less than a year away from Black Widow, over nearly 2 years later, we haven't had a single Marvel MCU movie come out. I think the pandemic, weirdly enough, helped the MCU. It gave the MCU a breather. Made people go, when's the next Marvel movie coming out? And, things like WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, I think that's done nothing but stoke the flames of that, because all of them have been supremely well received. So that's just my opinion, though. I'll probably reiterate that on Sunday when we do the box office. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review at some point. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. And I'll catch you folks later.